So I've been painting and drawing for about 4 or 5 years now. In my years of practicing art, there are some things I wish I knew when I first started. Painting, drawing, and just overall experimenting with different mediums. I never really had the option to actually go to an actual art school or take any classes, so my methods may be different from other artists, so bear with me. Art has no rules. First, you have to understand your mindset. You have to understand that you're capable of so many things and you're capable of bringing it to life. But before all that, you also have to understand yourself and knowing you're imperfectly perfect, which is fine, all of us are. But use that in your work. No boundaries, no expectations, no limits. But art can have guidance, and that's okay. Books, videos, research, all these are tools to help you improve your work. Now, this isn't permission to go copy other artists. This is just some basic tools to help you enhance your style and work. Now, let's be for real. Why would you even want to copy other artists' work? You are your own person, a soul so unique that it cannot be replicated on this spinning space rock in the middle of nowhere, just floating in space for eons, and I don't even... Where was I going with this? What I'm trying to say is be you, be authentically yourself, and be dedicated in your craft, and just create. You guys won't believe me when I say this, but one of my biggest things that helped me in making art and sort of pursuing this path is being delusional. You have to believe in your craft more than other people do. If you don't love it, who else will? My main thing, not only being delusional, was practicing a lot. Try to draw consistently, make it a habit. The most common things you need are sketchbooks, pencils, pen. Honestly, you can burn charcoal and make use of that. The important thing to remember is that everything can be art, especially an egg. We'll talk more about that later though. Since majority of my work is based on realism, let's begin with the basic steps to approach it. First things first, I'm never too picky with pencils, if you have something to draw with, that matters. But paper, oh my gosh. Your quality will show so much differently and depending on what paper you're using. Obviously, when you're starting out, most of the time, you're not gonna have these good quality materials. But that's alright, I've been there. Don't let it discourage you. The importance of drawing, especially in the beginning, is not the quality, but in fact the knowledge once you practice. So just keep drawing. Throughout the years, I've obviously invested in myself. I've invested more into my materials, but the biggest thing I've invested in was graphite pencils. Honestly, graphite is just the shit. Graphite is so amazing. There's a certain change in quality when it comes to graphite. It's sort of like when you focus in on an object through a camera lens. It brings it so much more clarity and details to your work. The only thing that I say it's not a pro when it comes to graphite pencils is the reflective light that it captures on paper. Now to the actually drawing part of this video. My bad it took so long, but let's start with the warm-ups. I think the biggest thing that a lot of artists do is overthink what they want to create. And the biggest thing that we overlook is the fact that you can just have fun with it. Mess around in your sketchbook. Draw a bunch of circles, a bunch of lines, scribbles, anything that's really carelessly free. I say this and I emphasize this a lot just because the biggest thing that we can get stuck on is even starting. By drawing randomly in your sketchbook, you're also giving yourself the chance to get to know yourself through it. Using these simple exercises, you can find certain things that you may like now and implement them in your future drawings. So now that you have the warm-ups done, now you have your basic shapes. When it comes to shapes, my biggest thing is simplifying them. Shapes are basically the simplification of objects. That being said, you can see shapes in everything. Shapes form to create an irregular object. A lot of the time, you'll see irregular shapes in reference photos. Having an understanding that these 3D objects originates from these basic forms. So, yeah. Now after you're done with shapes and you're done simplifying an object, now you come to a point where you want to bring it to life. This process is called rendering or refining your details. When you're moving simple shapes to rendering and refining your art with using pencil, you're shifting from the foundation of your drawing to details and depth. First, understanding your pencil pressure. You definitely don't want to start off making hard lines, because then it's hard to come back from it. Instead, you can start off using light sketches just to map out your shapes. Next, you want to focus on proportions. Placements, negative spaces, and composition. This is the blueprint of your drawing. Then start adjusting your shapes into more accurate forms. Start forming more committed line work by applying pressure. Overall, you're basically just rendering as you go. This whole process is basically about building up your drawing. Details. When adding your details, look closely at your reference. Observe important parts like folds in a clothing or creases in an eye or texture in the face. After all that's done, begin shading. Decide on a light source. Light source can change depending on the angles and perspective. When you're introducing shading, you're also introducing values. You have your light tones, mid-tones, and darks. These three main values can transition into one another by blending. By making a piece more dramatic and more interesting looking, you add contrast. Contrast is when you have your darkest tone and your lightest tone and how they correlate to another to make an interesting composition. You can do this by deepening your shadows, sharpen edges, adding highlights, using an eraser. All this is part of the refinement process. Now the very last thing is how you want your drawing to look. Obviously, these are just steps to help you improve on specific areas. To bring it together and to make it your work is up to you. To summarize, you start with big shapes, forms, features, then textures. Continue practicing your work. Do not be afraid to make messes, make mistakes. Your mistakes are definitely your biggest ways to progress in your work. And just learn from them and constantly create. I cannot emphasize this enough. With that being said, let me know if you guys like this video and you want to see more tips and tricks from my experience and my knowledge of work. And honestly, this is pretty new to me, so I'm not sure if I'm good at teaching this. I'm getting an understanding of it. If you do those exercises and you do them on a daily, you got it in the bag. Not gonna lie to you, like I said, be delusional. Whatever you have now, I know that stuff is amazing, and you just gotta believe it yourself too. So, have fun, create art, create everything, create the world, create life.